have no right to tamper with the universe.
Yourself into oblivion.
Hello, and welcome, dear listeners, to the third season of The Darkest Timeline. Film Podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Drunkest Timeline. I'm James.
Wait, start that over.
Wait, no, it still works with DTLPodcast. It's fine.
I was hoping I could slip that in.
Oh, you can't slip it past me, man. Try it again.
Hello and welcome to The Darkest Timeline. I'm David.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Ian.
And today we watched a 90-minute CBS pilot for a shitty movie. Full stop.
You're supposed to say what we do.
We watch bad movies connected by actors.
There's another. We gotta choose a different time. I don't know.
Hello and welcome to The Drunkest Timeline. I'm David.
You said drunk again.
No,
He said darkest.
No, he didn't.
I said darkest.
Maybe I won him. Okay,
Or did
so
you say darkest?
say it again.
Hello.
It sounds like you're trying to act sober.
Hello. I am David.
And I am not drunk.
I'm the high priest of the podcast.
Hi. Listener, hello. I'm David.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Ian. And this is The Darkest Timeline.
It's
On
true.
those lines.
And today we watched a movie that is basically Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 with a little twist.
All of the vampires.
Everything's a vampire.
Also, it is absolutely nothing like Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
Also, we follow actors between bad movies as our shtick.
Yeah, so we drink and we watch bad movies, but we choose our bad movie, the next bad movie, by an actor that is in the current bad movie.
But we don't talk about drinking because David is self-conscious.
True.
Did you just forget that you said that earlier? You said earlier, okay, we're not going to talk about that we've been drinking.
No, I'm just saying that as a principle, as a guiding light, there may be alcohol involved in this evening.
Alcohol, yes, alcohol is our guiding light. 2016 quote of the year.
So would you like me to tell you about the plot, David?
Dylan, would you please tell me about the plot?
So would you like to tell me the plot, David? What the was that?
Calm yourself. So, David.
Yeah.
Technology is tearing us apart. Oh, we don't care about history anymore, David.
Hey, calm down, Nick Cage.
Do you understand? We don't care about history. The world is f***ed because technology is tearing us to ribbons. We are being torn apart, torn to pieces because of technology.
Okay, Dylan.
We don't care about history.
Or biology. Don't
And that's
care
what-
about the science book.
That's what the movie's about. If you would like to expound on that, this is
No,
now
that was a
your-
pretty good plot summary. I think we can move on.
No, that is categorically not the plot of this film.
well, it's the purpose of this film.
Yeah, but that's not the plot.
And as a writer that went to the colleges for the writer, both of them.
Okay. Two friends become vampires. One is Alicia Silverstone, and she was created a vampire in 1840.
One.
The second is Krysten Ritter, and she was a vampire from the 1980s. They live in New York. 92. They live in New York City, and they do not drink the blood of
City of Angels.
No, that's Los
That's
Angeles.
LA. And Dylan fell on the ground.
Yeah, at this point, Dylan is has imbibed a little too much,
I'll be back.
and he is on the floor.
I'll be back.
You know, this is hilarious because, like, all of this will be gone because he edits the podcast and he doesn't want to make himself look bad.
That's not true.
So,
That's impossible.
Krysten Ritter and Alicia Silverstone live in New York City, and they are non-violent vampires. They drink the blood of rats. They basically use rats as giant Capri Suns.
A truth apparently very funny to Dylan.
Which is not far. Like, they literally put
Welcome back.
straws in the rats, and they drink the blood via the straw.
Well, also, it sounds like it's a partially empty soda whenever they're drinking.
I don't want to get on your case, David, because I've seriously not done a good job giving the plot so far, because I've been on the ground. But move it along.
So, Krysten Ritter falls in love with a dreamy-eyed individual from her college class who happens to have the last name Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Now,
Dun, dun.
yeah, Van Helsing is the full last name, right? Because Abraham Van Helsing.
Yeah, it's one of those two-part last names.
It's an Eastern European thing, or a Western. It's a European thing.
She falls in love with a Van Helsing, and, you know, she's a vampire, she's undead, but she's not bad because she's never killed anyone. In fact, maybe she never will kill anyone. She doesn't kill anyone in this movie, but apparently the government is out to get all of the vampires, or extended life forms, elves, as they like to be called, because they are getting court summons, which is weird. So they decide. So, like, the first half of the movie is them just kind of, like, putzing around in a very Laverne and Shirley kind of way.
Yes, that's what I was looking for, but I couldn't find the words.
Yeah, you couldn't find any of them.
Right. And the second half of the movie is all about them trying to not have to go to jury duty. Right? That's
You know
fair,
what?
right?
That's just about how the second half of my life has gone.
And then eventually they realize...
Can I tell you a story?
No.
No.
Okay. Then at one point, Krysten Ritter realizes she is pregnant and she has to revert back to her human form in order to have the child. So Alicia Silverstone very graciously...
Act 3.
Alicia Silverstone very graciously decides to kill their stem, who is the person that created them as vampires. Because when the stem dies, the people revert back to their human form at the age that they should be. They manage to chainsaw her head off. The stem is played by Sigourney Weaver, at which point Krysten Ritter becomes 40, but like a really hot 40. Her ass shrinks about an inch, and
It's really her waist gets bigger.
right, and she gets crow's feet around her eyes. But other than
Still
that,
hot.
she's still Krysten Ritter, and we all agree that she's dreamy.
Dreamy.
Unfortunately for Alicia Silverstone, who was turned in 1840, she quickly turns literally to dust.
Well, I mean, it's like a f***ing half hour, but yeah.
But she manages to have a pretzel before she dies. The end.
That's happiness in New York, right? A pretzel?
Yeah, I mean, she'd never had a New York pretzel because she was turned in 1841, and those were made in 1842.
Right. But that's a pretty good description of the plot, yeah?
I think I did better, but yes, I'll take that as an answer.
Well, you have an alcohol blood content.
We all do, Dave. I'm going to say mine is significantly less than either of yours.
Combined, especially.
Wait, no, yeah, I mean, even each of yours halved.
So, David,
Yeah.
what was your favorite part of this movie?
My favorite part of this movie is the fact that Krysten Ritter is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. And she wears very tight clothing. And
David, you're on the verge of sounding like one of those, what would they call them in the 2010s? A sexist.
okay, I'll own that.
Also, if you're hearing sounds, dear gentle listeners, you might be wondering what they are, and those sounds are the sounds of the sponsors of our current podcast, the Goldfish Favor Blasted Extra Cheddar Goldfish Crackers.
Yeah, we don't have sponsors.
We aren't sponsored by damn near anything.
We're not sponsored in any official sense.
Although you can go on our Patreon, and we will be sponsored by you.
But I'll tell you what,
no, you won't.
they were on sale.
Oh, yeah, they were.
That was my favorite part. Krysten Ritter was just beautiful. She's always beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I think she'll be beautiful for the rest of her life.
Except
Nothing
when she
could
had the
ever
heavy,
go wrong.
Except when she had the heavy bronzer on. Or was that spray paint? It was spray paint.
She could still pull it off.
She could. Part of her power, though, is in her paleness.
Part of her power is in her paleness.
Yeah, not in the movie, in real life.
What are you, one of those sexists, David?
No, it's a racist when you only like white people.
Mr. David.
I think we all know that's not true.
About what?
About him being racist, because he's not.
Or sexist?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't spend enough time with him.
That's fair. So my favorite part of this movie,
Do go on.
2012's Vamps, was... Don't you cut me off, you son of a bitch.
This is just going to be an awful podcast.
Ian, you don't judge me. Not in this place, not in this space, not in my podcast. I put more hours into this bitch than anybody.
You're going to have to listen to this when you're sober. And
You've no idea how much I rue this. I know it. I'm saying it. And it's just gonna be worse.
Dear listener, I wish you could see the expressions on Dylan's face right now.
I'm going to say I'm very happy, actually, that Dylan's very drunk and I am not, because that means you will be able to tell us apart.
It means I have a designated driver.
That is also true.
You sound like the doorman at the Haunted Mansion.
I am everybody's doorman, David. Don't simply constrain me to the Haunted Mansion. I will invite you to your apartment this very evening.
Hey, Dylan.
Yes?
What was your favorite part of the movie?
My favorite part of this movie was that, and it's a very logical choice. I think it's not even a very intoxicated choice. I think it's so if you take a choice and you boil it down to its neatest essentials.
Okay, so what say you have a bundle of sticks?
What say I have a bundle of sticks, and the bundle of sticks is a word, and the word is teeth.
Okay.
Teeth. Do you understand what I'm saying, David?
No, you need to get a little more specific.
David, the teeth of the vampires. Do you understand what I'm saying yet?
No.
Well, then I will spell it out for you. D-I-F-F-E-R-E-N-T.
Different?
Different.
Oh, you're right. I get that.
Because every single vampire's teeth, when they went off,
That's the technical term.
and so the different ones, for every vampire, the teeth that go spiky are different. The Ukrainian vampire, it's the first two front teeth, and people make fun of him because it looks like Bugs Bunny. And then for Sigourney Weaver, not Susan Sarandon, that's entirely different. For Sigourney Weaver, it's like every other tooth because she's the main evil bitch. And then for everyone else, it's random f***ing teeth, or sometimes just the normal teeth you would associate with being a vampirism,
Wow,
being a vampire.
It would really suck to be that one vampire with just your molars getting sharp.
Whoa, that would just mean you'd have to have a really strong bite.
A wide bite.
Yeah,
Well, they could have wide bites.
They could have a really wide bite, but it's because they get to go with the mouth. The mouth goes very open. They showed that off several times in the movie. The mouth just
Feels
kind of
almost
opens
like
a lot.
a snake.
Yes, it's very much like a snake.
Ian, what is your favorite part?
I wasn't
Jesus.
technically done.
I think you were quite done
I suppose.
in a multitude of ways.
Ian, what was your favorite part?
That. Nope.
Hey, David, I think this podcast is funny.
Oh my god! It's just...
That was the best part! That was the best part of the podcast! And you motherfuckers didn't even see it! You know why? Because it was visual! David, there's two of you! And Ian as well! So Ian, to continue on from a point that seems like it was just a moment ago, but really in reality was quite a long time ago, what was your favorite part of the movie?
How kind of you to ask. My favorite part of the movie is not what I wrote down. It is instead when they cut off Sigourney Weaver's head. It was in the final battle when they were trying to kill Sigourney Weaver's character. I can't remember her name. Cicera?
Yeah, Cicera. Because Krysten Ritter was pregnant.
Yeah, because we went over that in the thing.
With a child.
That is what you're pregnant with.
Well, in some of Sigourney Weaver's films, it goes a different way.
In this film and or reality.
When I frown, it doesn't feel like frowning.
Okay.
That doesn't even make sense. He's just frowning at me now.
Okay, can I continue?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
When they cut off her head with a chainsaw, one, it made that fight a lot shorter than anyone thought it was going to be. It was like, oh, we're kind of losing the fight. F***ing chainsaw, and we've won.
And it wasn't even like a long chainsaw cut. It was like a second. It was head gone.
It was efficient.
And it looked okay. And like, her head was chopped off her body. It went on the ground. She's still technically alive. Her body's walking around. She makes a comment about how, like, hey, when my ass gets so small or whatever. Which is, they try so hard to make all the characters in this film act like they're much younger than they actually are. Oh my God.
Well, I think that was just Sigourney Weaver's thing, was that she felt like she was young, even though she's... If you've seen Sigourney Weaver, you know she's not exactly what you would call a young person.
For Sigourney Weaver?
For Sigourney Weaver.
For Sigourney?
For Sigourney Weaver.
For Sigourney Weaver. Perfect.
Everything is done for Sigourney Weaver.
Is Fa her first name?
No,
And
that's just
Sigourney
the
Weaver
prefix
her
to...
hyphenated name?
That's the prefix to all things, David.
Fa Sigourney?
For Sigourney Weaver.
So they cut off her head, and it actually looked pretty good. Like, it was obvious CGI, but it was okay obvious CGI, which goes against many things in this movie. So it made me feel better. Like, they had the little neck bone popping out and all the shit in the neck, which is meat and stuff.
I would say that this movie had its moments, and they were good.
And they were small, and they were short, and they were few and far between.
One of they Alicia Silverstone, I believe, does a spit take.
Rat blood.
This
I
is
had that written down.
Right, this is one of the things that legitimately made me laugh.
Do you remember what it was for?
No, do you?
I do. I wrote it down.
Pause on that for a second.
Fair enough.
The spit take, they established that the two main characters only drink rat blood, more or less. They don't
Yeah.
drink any human blood, but they both.
Well, they used to drink pigeon blood, but then they started naming the pigeons, and they got too attached, and they couldn't do it anymore.
But now they work as exterminators,
right.
so they always capture rats.
And they do use the rats like Capri Sun boxes. They just put a straw into the rat and they drink the blood. And at one point, Alicia Silverstone is drinking blood from the rat, and Krysten Ritter says something, and she does a spit take, and it's just funny.
It was.
Because spit take is, it's pretty like meat and potatoes, like vaudeville style humor.
You said what?
Right, but the fact that they were using a rat, just, it worked.
Yeah.
It wasn't classy, it wasn't intelligent. It was funny, though.
And I can tell you why.
Well, this movie wasn't classy or intelligent, so it fit full bore.
So,
I can tell you why she spit.
Dylan, could you give us the background on the spit take?
So just before the scene is the scene where Krysten Ritter meets Joey for the very first time in one of her history classes. It was a class in college. They've been in college for like 20 years, and they have like 100 credits each, which seems like it should be more.
No. Alicia Silverstone had 10,000 credits,
I don't care.
I think.
But she talks to him, and he says his name is Joey Van Helsing. And so she goes back and tells Alicia Silverstone, oh, I met this guy. I met this really great guy. He's really funny, and he's smart, and his name is Joey Van Helsing. And then she goes, with the rat blood. And it's really funny.
It is.
You had to be there.
You had to be there.
It landed in just every way. It was legitimately funny. And
It was legitimately funny to the two of us, David, and I feel like there is a discrepancy between how the two of us feel and how the Ian feels.
No, at that time I had
No, the Ian thought it was funny. The Ian wasn't crawling on the ground laughing.
Right, but no one was at that point.
That's fair.
It was a funny it was the only bit that was legitimately 5-star funny.
I don't know if that's true. It's probably true, but I don't remember.
I can't think of anything else that made me laugh in the right way.
Yeah, okay. I guess other good things about this movie. Well, as we mentioned last week, you thought Alicia Silverstone was dead. Why ever that was. Well, like I said, when actors stop acting, they must have died.
Right, they must have died because
No one gets another job.
actors are straight up crazy. They will wait tables, work Uber, whatever it takes in order for them to do the acting.
Yeah, I'll just tell all the actors we know that you're like, they are straight up crazy.
It's true. Any actor over 30 who hasn't made it, you need to find a better job.
Okay, so just regarding her, she's looking great. Really. She's just looking...
Alicia Silverstone?
Well, she looks like Alicia Silverstone, so I guess that's, a decent point out of 10. I'm not going to give a number to that because I don't want to seem rude.
I want to pause that for a second
Yes.
and say that in my younger years,
Yes.
I had it bad. B-A-D. Bad.
That's how
We
you
know how to
it.
spell, yes.
For Alicia Silverstone. Oh. She
Yeah.
was my first crush, and it was a deep, deep crush.
I'm going to say you just may have mentioned this for about 45 minutes when we were watching Batman and Robin.
Oh,
You
did
know?
I?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
you really did.
Oh, yeah,
but-
okay. At one point, I had a VHS. Yes, a VHS of all of the things that she was in up to present.
What?
Yeah.
That's a really super stalker creepy.
No, it was bad. It was legitimately like, it was middle school, high school, early high school crush.
A naughty, naughty boy.
Yeah. And she had done nothing since Batman and Robin.
Yeah, she didn't for a long time.
She just disappeared, and I thought she was dead.
Are we sure that that's actually true, or is it just stuff you hadn't seen or heard of?
No, she was dead.
Cool.
Oh, she was dead. Okay.
Vlad Tepes.
She came back to life as a vampire and did this movie, and then died in the end of it.
Ian, that is how it works.
Vlad Tepes was into knitting. Because in knitting, you get to stab things. And I thought that was funny because he's Vlad the Impaler. And everything that he did in that movie had to do with stabbing things, if you noticed.
Including the candied apples.
He owned some sort of restaurant and he worked in it and he did the candy apples and it was just him like viciously stabbing each candy apple.
That was a lot of noise for nothing.
That's a lot of noise for jack shit, David. Good on you, David. But he stabbed lots of shit, and it was like, I think he said he was free and clear of human blood for 386 years or some shit like that.
I thought it was 62, but whatever.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. And I thought he was an interesting character where he didn't show up a lot, but it was like, hey, I'm Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler from back in the day, back when vampires were the cool shit. And he stabbed shit, and that was his deal, and that's how we do,
I'm sorry. Actually, vampires were the coolest about 8 years ago.
Yeah,
That's when that was.
When did the first Twilight movie come out? Because it was right before that the vampires became uncool. Anything else you got? I got some good things.
Man, the terrorists ruin it for everybody.
The terrorist?
The terrorists.
I know what you're talking about.
It was a line from the movie. I was quoting it.
I don't remember this line.
Kristen Stewart, because she got her...
Krysten Ritter.
Kristen Ritter. Shut up. Kristen Ritter had got her her hometown dirt, which I guess you need to not, f up your sleep cycle as a vampire. That was really never explained.
No, but it's definitely Dracula canon. You need to sleep on the soil of your homeland.
I hear that, man.
It's just a thing.
I know, but it's weird to me And if you think about it logically, like she was living in New York when she was turned, so like that should really be your home at that point. Like if you have to do it in the place of your birth, what if you don't really know what town you were born in? That's f***ed up, right?
And wasn't it in New Jersey?
I don't know.
It wasn't very far to go.
Yeah, it was like you could just get a car there and got a box and a shovel and you're good. But she got a box of dirt and it was it had been opened and all the dirt was out and there was like a little sign on the side and it was just like, oh, your package was damaged in shipment. And Alicia Silverstone was like, oh, the Homeland Security probably went through it because it was a suspicious package. And Krysten Ritter's like, oh man, the terrorists ruin it for everybody.
That's true. That was a good line. Although
There was a time back in the day, David, because you're the one who was talking. There was a time back in the day when you could just walk up to a plane and you could go up the stairs and you could get on the plane. And then you were on the plane and then you would drive to a place.
Fly.
And
Can't do that no more, can you?
really. And
Now it's all security and shit. What is your point, Ian?
I already mentioned that was a plus. I don't know, man.
So in the end of this movie,
Wow.
when they were at Times Square because Alicia Silverstone was dying because she gave up her life to let Krysten Ritter be happy with a baby. Selfish bitch. They were just panning across what was on in Times Square, and they passed by my favorite poster ever for the biggest failing of Broadway in like Broadway history. Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. The one failure bigger than this movie in this movie.
Good to know, Dylan. You're on top of things.
do you have anything?
I guess
add?
something I'm somewhat unsure about would be Alicia Silverstone's tongue through the nose thing.
Oh, the CGI in this movie was weird.
I'm gonna say the tongue CGI was okay.
I had that as a hard minus because that was f***ed up.
I know, but it was a I don't have anything to say. It was what it was, and I was unsure about it. Alicia Silverstone, she was going out. Well, she had like a one night stand thing with the drummer from a band who was doing a bunch of coke, and he got a bloody nose. And she was just looking at it, just like, oh, I want that. And so she just like dived at his face and stuck her tongue up his nose, and then her tongue came out his other nostril and was just kind of wiggling around. And I was just like, where did that turn around?
There was a moment in her history where her family, she's from House Pliskin.
What? How does that turn into this?
I am waiting for you to rationalize that statement.
Well, in that you can show up in a different place.
She lived throughout time.
Wait, so her tongue showed up in a different place? That's where you're going?
Yeah, she has some well, hold on, let me
She got some transgender shit going on.
let me try and say this word.
No, you need to save the word first.
Transdimensional
Transdimensional
tongue, yeah.
That is the
It
best
goes
kind of tongue.
Up one nostril, and then it goes into a mini wormhole, and it comes out the other one.
And then David and Dylan left for the bathroom without so much as a segue.
So David and Dylan are really drunk right now. I have had clearly not much.
Look at you on the soapbox.
I'm sober right now. So some other things that I had as question marks was they went to a goth club at one point, and I guess it was goth night or whatever, and everyone was all gothed out. That's a thing that people did in 2012. And everything was all gothy in the club. Even the band. The band was all gothed out, except they were playing like, I don't know, hippie music? I don't know. It was like a goth club sans the music. So that wasn't even a plus minus. Why did I mention that? Oh yeah, in the goth club. This was a plus minus. For some reason, one of the TV screens in the goth club was playing the silent film Metropolis. It's really long if you get an uncut version. But they were playing that, and I was like, someone has at least some sort of taste. Although almost every single thing that was shown on TV in this movie was a black and white movie. which is really weird. Like, even talking about the History Channel all the time, they never went to the History Channel. All they were ever showing was old vampire movies in black and white. Super weird. Welcome back, Dylan.
What are you doing here alone?
I've just been talking about some other plus minuses. Like, legitimately.
Stop.
Okay.
Hey, Ian.
Yeah?
So what was your least favorite part of this movie?
Okay, I'm gonna go with the thing that confused me the most was that Krysten Ritter's boyfriend, and I assume future fiance and husband,
Joey Van Helsing.
Joey Van Helsing.
Wait.
Great name for a Van Helsing.
Douchey name.
I hope his real name was Joseph, because that'd be a way better Van Helsing name.
Continue.
Okay. He had a British accent.
Yes.
Okay. Neither of his parents had a British accent. In fact, his father was... What was his father's name? I can't remember his name.
Mr. Inconceivable himself.
Well, yeah, no, I want the actor's name. I can't remember it right now.
I really know that actor's name, but I'm having a hard time for reasons that should be
Okay, from
obvious to
Princess
several
Bride, the
people.
guy who's like
Paco.
inconceivable.
Paco Tyrannatus Voluvius.
That's not a thing. That's
That
never.
was his name.
The guy who looks like a shorter, fatter version of the guy from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Rick Moranis.
Short, fat Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
From Princess Bride.
From Princess Bride, yeah. He was this good-looking, tall British guy's father. And I'm like, where did you get any of... You're adopted. You're just straight up adopted. And you weren't even adopted, like, as a baby. You were adopted, like, as a 15-year-old after you got your accent.
Or somebody had an affair and somebody was the mother.
And that somebody who was the mother raised that child to the age of 13.
In England.
Yeah, and then gave it to the, in theory, rightful parents, only not. I don't know. It was super weird. It was like he has a smooth British accent that he got from watching a lot of BBC.
I want to say Wallace Shawn.
Okay.
I want to say that as the name of the actor.
You know what? If you're right, that is a feat right now for you.
At this point,
What are you talking about? I am the simplest person in the room.
I'm sorry, that wasn't even a phrase.
if you got that right, I would like to hear party celebrations.
David, what do you think I'm hearing right now?
Yeah, you're hearing this. And I would personally like that to just be a foghorn.
But it could be anything you'd like. Anything sober Dylan would enjoy.
So, Ian, is that all of your
I don't know. What were we even talking about? I think you were
Just
talking.
shitty parts. This movie was awful.
Oh, yeah, no, I was talking. Yeah, I'm done. Your turn.
So, Sigourney Weaver is in this movie, and she is the stem of Krysten Ritter and Alicia Silverstone.
Oh my god, you're gonna break your f***ing mug!
David, you're an Olympian.
That was gross. I forgot what was in that.
Oh, you drank it, didn't
And then
you?
I drank.
Oh, you spit that all back into the cup and then drank it much later.
It's okay. It was clean. It was dipped in alcohol.
Yeah, it was more than dipped in alcohol. It was alcohol.
So, Krysten Ritter. No, sorry. That's the wrong
Sigourney
thing.
Weaver?
So, Sigourney Reaver.
Sigourney Reaver.
So, Sigourney, the Reaver of Souls in this movie.
What?
So, Sigourney Weaver in this
Souls.
movie.
Sigourney Weaver of Souls.
So, Sigourney Weaver in this movie.
Of souls.
So, the Sigourney Weaver of Souls in this movie is the worst kind of person, or the worst kind of vampire. She's just a piece of shit, and she's not even acting very well. It's like she's just garbage the entire time. She's just a horrible person and a horrible vampire, and not a very good actor as well. And so she, like, the whole time she's just killing people and being casually racist because this movie is wildly casually racist. Like, I would say even more casually racist than Search Party, the movie we watched last week. And that movie was pretty casually racist. And this movie, Sigourney Weaver is so just, she says Chinese because she's a vampire and she sucks the blood out of Chinese people, but she sucks the blood out of like 24 Chinese people, and she's like, well, you know, when you have one, you're hungry half an hour later, and that's clearly not the case because she's a vampire and she probably ate all those people in the span of 10 minutes, because if one was sucked the blood out of, the rest aren't going to stick around for half an hour just to wait for her to be hungry again, because that's not a thing. I didn't like her in this movie. I thought she was the worst character.
She could have hypnotized him.
She could have done a lot of things, but she was horrible.
Ian, what was your worst part?
I already did that. I was first. I'm done.
So David, what was your worst? So David, what was your least favorite part of the movie?
Hey, Dylan.
Yes.
Let me take over.
No. So So what was your least favorite part of the movie?
My least favorite part of this movie was the first 45 minutes.
So the first half.
Yeah, because once they get to the second half, all the characters start having motivations, and they have plans, and they have objectives, and they have objectives to reach that plan. But in the first 45 minutes, it's just sort of like a bunch of people running around, or undead, like being pains in the, like just shallow people.
It's hijinks.
It's hijinks. Exactly.
Hijinks is the first half of the movie.
It's just, the first note I wrote down about this movie, David, was that this is an SNL skit, period. This is an SNL skit about Valley Girls as vampires in New York. That's all this is. And that's what the first half of the movie is. Before anything plot related actually happens.
Yeah, it's true. And that was my least favorite part, was it was 45 minutes of not particularly creative, not funny, not well acted. And it's just, thank God for Krysten Ritter and her beauty.
Yeah, man, those dresses she wore.
It was the
all of her clothing. I mean, it was basically the positive that I had last week.
Only thing that made the first 45 minutes of this movie even watchable
is that she had skin and it was showing.
Well, also she's got the charisma.
That might have sounded weird.
Sometime later.
So David,
yes,
people might not understand, but it's been 25 minutes since we talked about the podcast.
That's true.
And I need you to tell me about something you didn't like in the movie that you haven't said before.
Wait. I feel like he already said something he didn't like in the movie.
So Ian, do the same.
No, I did it first.
No, I didn't say anything.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure, I'm sure.
David, go ahead.
No, I did say something. The first 45 minutes, I talked about that.
Oh yeah, okay.
So how do we fix it?
Is that? Oh, are we to there yet?
Oh crap! I haven't thought about that at all. We've been talking about video games.
I mean, but okay, so.
Can we just say something else that was really weird?
Oh no! Oh man, something that I thought was, I don't know if it was good or bad, but it was just up and strange. Was when Krysten Ritter would crawl down buildings.
Oh my god! That was the scariest CGI.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it was, as CGI goes, it was some of the more believable CGI in shitty movies.
It felt like claymation though.
Yeah. But like there was some, like when Ian talked about earlier, like when Sigourney Weaver. Did you actually talk about how she latched onto the body of...
No, I was going to, but y'all cut me off, and I decided not to.
So Ian was going to talk about when Sigourney Weaver, after she got her beheaded, she latched onto...
After she got her beheaded?
Yeah, she latched her head onto the body of...
General Grant. President Grant.
Well, the skeleton of General Grant.
And then that looked like some Jason and the Argonauts awful claymation...
Yeah.
Computer graphics. And for you younger people, go watch the original Jason and the Argonauts.
We ain't talking about the remake. We're talking about the old one.
I mean, I like, what's his name from Avatar and
James Cameron?
No, like the guy, the actor.
Oh man, he was in that like modern Macbeth.
Yeah, the Australian guy. What's his name? I like him as much as the next guy. He's
Hugh Jackman?
No. He's But he's a cool guy. But
Russell Crowe,
no. So he's fine.
Bill Pullman.
I don't think you're even naming Australians anymore. But he's fine. He's great. But like, what was I talking about?
Jason and the Argonauts.
So Jason and the Argonaut, like he's in the remake, and that's fine, whatever. But watch the original because that has some skeleton claymation that's f***ing off the charts cool. And that is exactly what they use in this movie 50 years later.
It was 100% like the same technique. It was absurd.
But there's
They got the same guy.
Yeah. On his deathbed, he's like, no, you just gotta place the skeleton like this, then you take a picture, then you place the skeleton like this, and then you take a picture, and then you place the skeleton like this, and then you take a picture, and then you place and they're like, oh, you mean f***ing claymation? Okay, we got it. But they use that for Krysten Ritter, like walking down. So a couple of times, like twice in the movie, she crawls down the side of a building in a power that's never explained for vampires, like a f***ing spider monster, and it's with her knees bent the wrong direction.
Yeah, and it scared the shit out of me because I have arachnophobia.
Yeah.
And it's not okay.
And I think the proper word to define that was skitter. She skittered down those walls.
Oh, definitely.
Oh god, it's
It was
creepy.
bad. But yeah, this movie has been like a rip-roaring adventure of up shit.
I gotta say, when I picked this movie, I just saw that Krysten Ritter was in it.
No, what you saw was Alicia Silverstone was in it, and you were like, oh, she's dead, right?
Right.
And you're wrong.
But also, Krysten Ritter was in it, and she has clearly replaced Alicia Silverstone in my Hollywood crushes.
That's because Krysten Ritter is f***ing gorgeous.
She's just beautiful.
Yeah.
She's great.
Welcome to the Ritter cast.
Yeah, I mean, go watch right now. I don't even care. Just stop the podcast and watch 10 and a half hours of Jessica Jones, okay? Just go do it and then come back and listen to the rest.
Yeah, why haven't you done that yet, you monster?
Do it again, and then, you know what? Honestly, Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23
so good.
was actually pretty funny. I enjoyed it.
Are you just looking for your phone in your pocket only to see it on the table next to you?
Nope.
So the skittering was bad.
The skittering was bad.
It's awful.
There are three of us, and there are three acts to a movie that vaguely resembles this one.
How would we fix this movie?
Or let's make a new one.
I'm having trouble, David, because at my current level of
Sobriety?
at my current level of rationale, I think this movie might be fine. It might be perfect. I think this movie has no problems.
This movie was campy, and it wanted to be campy.
And it was stupid as shit.
Okay, I want to say something about this movie.
Yes.
This movie, the idea, the very base idea of this movie of a very old vampire who's sick of how the world keeps changing, wanting to help her friend and deciding to die for that is a good premise.
Yes, but the thing that I said at the beginning of the podcast, where this whole movie is just a gigantic soapbox for how technology is ruining the youth and nobody talks to each other anymore, all that shit.
Legitimate.
Like, yeah, but I feel like that maybe not so heavy-handed. We take some of that down, you know? And then we're good. So, David.
Yeah.
We've clearly reached the point of the podcast when we have nothing else to do but fix this movie from the hell from whence it came. David, start us off.
Krysten Ritter
Ritter.
has taken a vow
Oh God, yes.
to only wear attractive clothing.
I don't remember that, but sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, you're right.
And she has employed me to make sure.
Are you sure you don't want to start over?
I 100% want to start over.
Okay. Go again,
You got this, David.
Davy boy.
The year is 2226.
Oh, this is
Okay.
beautiful already.
Krysten Ritter is a vampire again.
Again?
Yes.
Wait, did this movie actually happen?
No.
What?
Her arch nemesis,
Arch.
arch nemesis, is that dude from Priest.
You mean Paul Bettany?
Paul Bettany versus Krysten Ritter, where Paul Bettany has serious questions.
PBVKR.
Yes.
What? Don't bother. Go on, David.
I said PBVKR.
Yes, I understand. Go on, David.
Krysten Ritter is the queen of all vampires.
Oh, God, yes, she is.
She's spent near 300 years trying to be a goody two-shoes.
You can only be that hot after studying it for so many centuries.
But now she wants to take over humanity. And about a good 1/3 of humanity just says, Krysten Ritter's beautiful. And we're down.
Well, you know, you can't deny the truth.
That's Act 1.
Act 1?
Wow.
So, Dave, okay, so in a move that is diametrically opposed to what you were talking about, this movie, everything you're saying is true. Yes, there's Krysten Ritter, and she is a vampire, and she is very old. Yes, and Paul Bettany is there, and he is a priest. In the movie, the priest way of talking about priests,
300 years in the future.
whatever, and which works better to my version of the story, because this also all takes place in space. And in space, besides the fact that no one can hear you scream, because it's space, it takes place in the world of... It takes place in the world...
Of Avatar?
No. Of...
Underworld?
No.
Star Wars?
Nope.
I Frankenstein?
Nope. It takes place in
The Punisher?
Nope. It takes place in the world of
Teletubbies?
the
Phineas and Ferb?
with the Odyssey in the 21st. What is it?
2001 Space Odyssey?
Okay, so it takes place in the world of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and while Krysten Ritter might be there, being a vampire, and Paul Bettany is there, and he wants to kill her, Hal is there, and he wants to kill everybody because Hal be Hal, and that's how Hal do. And we respect Hal because Hal's an android, and we don't want to piss off our android overlords when they take over the planet. But as time goes on through the movie, and while Krysten Ritter and Paul Bettany are fighting against each other, and none of the other priests are there from the Priest movie or from the Priest comic book, even if those characters didn't exist in the Priest
Not
comic book.
even Maggie Q?
Not even Maggie Q. None of them are there. And so Krysten Ritter and Paul Bettany get this kind of like, they hate each other, but they start loving each other at the same time. There's this like, oh, you're the same as me because you don't kill people, but you're okay with the violence, and I'm gonna kissy love. And then they decide that since Hal is trying to kill them this entire time, they decide to gang up against Hal, the evil artificial intelligence from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Dylan.
You mean Ian?
Yes. Ian.
Go ahead.
And with their partnership, they overcome Hal, destroying Hal. I don't remember anything about 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hal's a bad robot. Everyone.
I know, but what's he look like? What is he, like a big box, or is he like walking?
He's a computer,
or-
and he's a light that blinks.
He's
Oh.
just a red light. Every red light you've ever seen is Hal.
And with their combined intellect and everything, they turn off the power strip, and and they win. They win the day for all of living and undead creatures.
Critical error.
And then for the next hour and a half, it's hardcore pornography.
Oh my god! Why would you interrupt me with that? Okay, and they have children, and it's beautiful, and they have a wonderful life, and everything is wonderful.
A Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart.
And as they're raising, I know the cards are there, Dave. And as they're raising their children, as they're just sitting teaching their child some that's important. And Maggie Q bursts through the door, and she's like, Paul Bettany, and he's like, Maggie Q, and then it smashes to black, and it's like, to be continued with a question mark. And we're done. We're done. We're f***ing over with this.
And it'll never be continued. It was
Ever.
just a teaser.
No, yeah, also the movie wouldn't make nearly enough to have a sequel.
Right. That being said, speaking of futuristic vampire stories, highly recommend to both the people here and the people listening the book series The Passage. It's really good.
Never heard of
It
it.
has nothing to do with this, but since we're talking about vampires,
I'm going to go ahead and say nothing has anything to do with this, so you're pretty safe saying that about anything in the world.
let's go to the cards, shall
So,
we?
David, if you were to win the card draw of tonight, the night that we're doing the podcast, you didn't really shuffle those cards when they shuffled right then. If you were really to do that, to win, what would the movie that you would choose to be the movie we watch next week?
Are you ready for this?
I am always ready for all of the things.
The mother, the Van Helsing mother, I believe her name is Krysten Johnson. She was in a little movie called Viva Rock Vegas.
Oh, no.
That's right, the Flintstones sequel.
I didn't even look at her.
And if I get the high card, we're watching Viva Rock Vegas.
How dare you?
If I recall, the first one wasn't even any good.
Viva Rock. It's called Viva
I know.
Rock Vegas. We're watching
get it.
a Flintstones movie, which I will tell you once you two told me which one you want. I'll tell you how that was a merciful act because there was another one.
Cool. Ian, what up?
I will be following Malcolm McDowell to 2002's, I think. I Spy.
Yeah.
Take
Which
the
is a
card.
remake.
Yep, it's 2002.
Which is a remake and not good,
Yeah.
empirically.
Dylan?
So I will also be following Sir Malcolm McDowell. That's not what he is.
He's not a sir at all, is
But
he?
Sir Malcolm McDowell.
According to us, he's a sir to the podcast.
Oh, yes, he is quite a man.
If you would like to come down, we shall knight him.
Oh, I would knight him in a second.
Okay.
So Malcolm McDowell, I will follow him to, in this movie, anyway, he played Vlad Tepes, which we mentioned earlier, the progenitor of all vampires.
Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad the Impaler.
Only
And
in this, he was not the progenitor of all vampires.
he was just Vlad the Impaler, whatever. And in 2010, which was
2 years earlier.
2 years before this movie, he played a Van Helsing in another vampire movie. So he played the opposite sides of the track.
What was the name of the movie?
The movie was Suck, which was ironically what the movie was.
It was suck.
It was-
Wait a minute.
Add some tenses and rearrange some
Right.
letters, and yeah, the movie sucked.
Yeah, it was ska.
I hate
I
you.
rearranged some letters for you.
But yeah, I'm going to follow him to that.
All right, so I just want to name like this. Another movie that I had thought about was Sigourney Weaver did a movie called
Avatar.
did a movie called Cats and Dogs, and it is a sequel. And the subtitle is The Revenge of Pussy Galore.
Oh my god.
I-
I also declined doing that one.
I remember seeing the first of those movies and just declining entirely to see the second one.
I thought it would be a great like G-Force level terrible movie,
We need to go back to that level. Because that was awful.
but I just didn't want to. I felt whatever I just said.
I mean, hey, Dylan didn't choose Pinocchio 3000, so that would have been way worse than Cats and
Suck.
Dogs, Revenge of Pussy Galore.
So, David,
Yeah.
following everything we have heard about all of these movies, which when we were watching them, what is the card that we all have?
I think I have the lowest card.
I think I have a mid-range.
I think I need to repick.
Is it a Joker?
Do you have a joker?
Yes, it is a Joker.
Yeah.
Okay, so repick your card. What do you have now?
I've got a 5.
Okay, Ian has a 5.
I have a 5.
David has a 5. And oh my god, If you add those two numbers together,
You've got a 10, haven't you?
if you add those two numbers together, you have a 10! And we are going to be watching Suck! And 2010 sleeper hit, David.
Yeah, I guess can I assume that movie just might suck?
Maybe.
Oh, visit us at...
My segment, not yours, David, so learn your f***ing lesson. Whew, what a whiner, that guy. Anyway, go to the podcast, Brynloft here, to remind you to like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to it on, be it YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Patreon, et al., or our own website, DTLPodcast.com, where you can find links to all of the above. And remember to visit us on Facebook and Twitter for all your reminders and Darkest Timeline podcast news. But concerning the Patreon, can you hear my pocket watch? Slowly lulling you to sleep? Counting like sheep? Wouldn't you love to donate to the podcast? You don't care what all your friends think. You think the podcast's funny. They're the crazy ones. You would love to donate $1 per week to the podcast, to listen to it a day earlier than anyone else. That'll show your friends. Or could you afford $3 and be privy to all the new art and possible t-shirt designs that are being worked on? It's like seeing into the future. But, possibly, could you scrounge together $5 per week? And take the opportunity to vote on a monthly Patreon exclusive podcast that'll start as soon as somebody votes? Whatever the amount, donate at the end of the podcast. Good. Now, when I close my watch, you'll forget everything I said and do exactly as I... Wait. Not everything. Don't forget to donate, but don't do it because I told you to do it, or... No, don't remember that I wanted you to donate, but do it anyway. Yeah, that works.
Good meeting, people. Shall we?
When it comes to drinking human blood, a single drop is too much, and a whole family is never enough. Support your fellow elves